Hey guys, Saf here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and in this video I have got some insights into the way that artifact sets work with skills that you are probably not aware of, and I think is actually significantly game changing in the way that you're going to use these champions, the way that you decide to use certain skills in live arena or arena places, things, the way they work in the game that actually make a huge difference to the value of artifact sets. So what I want to talk about today is basically the artifact sets that apply debuffs or effects on a target. We are talking about Frost set, we are talking about Daze set, we are talking about things such as, more obviously, Stun, Toxic sets, Provoke sets. They all have a percentage chance to apply an effect on the boss, on a target, on the enemy, on a champion. Most people won't use things like Frost or Daze. I'm not really looking at those specifically in detail in this video, but they would apply. I'm really looking at the moment, Stun, Toxic, and Provoke. It's mainly because we were talking about Stun set Ukko. So if you've been playing any sort of live arena, you will have come across a Provoke or Stun set Ukko, and it can be an absolute menace to fight. And we were talking about in the Nerd Corner in Discord, I was having a discussion with a member of the community, Deech, who was trying to determine whether or not artifact sets for the A2 on Mighty Ukko specifically was giving double the odds or single the odds. And we were looking at the different data code. And I've been doing some more testing today and some clarification, and it is actually very different to what is described. So let's just first go and have a look at how it works. Essentially, if I attack a target with Stun set, Toxic set, or Provoke set, then I have a chance to either apply a poison, a stun, or a provoke on various different things. We know that Sniper will improve Toxics by 5%, and we know that Fearsome Presence will improve the stun and provoke by 5%. So those are the odds that you get. Now let's have a look at the way that Plarium describe these mechanics working on their official guide on the support forum. So you can get these from in-game. You can basically go in and Google the how the set bonus mechanics works in the in-game helper. I've gone to their website directly. So you can see set bonus mechanics. Artifact sets that have a chance to apply debuffs do so without taking the attacker's accuracy or defender's resistance stats into the count, unless it's Brimstone, of course. We won't go into that. Block buffs and passive skills work as normal. So we know that. If you have an artifact set, you don't need accuracy to place that. That's correct. That's accurate. Fine. This is where it gets interesting. Multi-hit skills have a single chance of applying debuffs to each target. This is wrong. This is not accurate. If a skill hits 3 times, you do not have 3 chances to apply the debuff. Incorrect. Artifact set debuffs and debuffs from a champion skills are 2 independent processes. Correct. So if you attack with a champion, they apply a poison. That is one roll. And then if they apply the toxic set, that's a different roll. Those are independent. They're different skills, they're different effects. That is correct. For example, a champion has a skill with a 50% chance of placing a stun debuff and is equipped with a stun set artifact. That provides them an 18% chance to place a stun. Those 2 chances do not stack together or add together. Correct. You have 2 independent rolls. You have a 50% chance to stun off the skill and an 18% chance to stun on the artifact set. Of course, if you put Fearsome Presence, then both odds have 5% more chance. But again, they're not additive, they're multiplicative. So you can do equations to determine the probability of the 2 combined, but they're not additive. They're 2 independent rolls. They roll separately. And one will not work without the other, right? So obviously if the first one stuns, the second one is irrelevant. If the first one doesn't stun, then the second one will try and do it. But why am I saying that this multi-hit skills have a chance of applying debuffs to each target? Why am I saying is that wrong? Well, basically, it's not about the skill hitting multiple times. It's about the quantity of effects. So let's just have a look at the game code for toxic sets and for stun sets a second. Don't generally show the actual inner workings of the skills that often, but sometimes it's helpful for you just to see it on screen. It's a bit pixelated here, and you don't need to understand it. All you need to understand principally here is skills have a collection of effects. Those can be damage effects, they can be placing debuff effects, they can be various different things, but essentially an effect happens with the skill and they'll have a collection of those effects, and those effects will happen based on a series of conditions or phases. Now the important word here is phase, because there are two different phases with a skill. You either have after the skill is processed, after the effect is processed, after damage is dealt, and there are other phases such as like at the start of round. That's how you see things, for example, in Arena, where Taras will place the fear on, say, a Duchess, but a Duchess has Stone Skin, so then the Stone Skin applies after the fear is applied, because they happen in different phases of the battle. Now, the important thing to note here is this is a toxic set, so it places a debuff whenever you do any sort of direct damage. Effect kind of says, you see the relation, it's got to be a 6,000, which is dealing damage, and then it happens at phase 53. That's translated into after I deal damage. So after I deal damage with a damage type that isn't a debuff, so you can't poison a target and trigger toxic, it's got to be you're physically attacking that champion. After I've dealt damage, then it goes and checks the conditions. Now, the only important thing you really need to notice here is, can unique apply for target? The other stuff is just basically making sure that the person I'm attacking is an enemy and that I'm not attacking an ally, and there's some considerations there for Brogni Shield, like to stop Brogni Shield from applying toxic sets. So the can unique apply for target was a bit misleading. I actually got this wrong originally. I actually thought that meant every time I deal damage, unless I've applied the toxic, I can keep applying it. It's not quite true. What happens is every time I attack a new target, and I haven't previously rolled this toxic set on it before, then I have a chance to roll the toxic set, so long as the other conditions aren't prohibiting me. AKA, as I said, I'm attacking an enemy, I'm not attacking an ally, I'm not Brogni, basically, with his passive. And then I roll the chance to do that. Once I've rolled the chance, I can't then roll this effect again on the same skill, effect. Now, the effect is important. Here's a word. Not the same skill. This is where it's misleading. The game guide tells you, when I have a multi-hit skill, I only have one chance. No. When you have a skill effect, each individual effect has one roll. So if a champion has more than one effect that deals damage, he has more than one roll. This is basically the toxic set. Let me just show you to prove that it's the same thing for stun set. We can see stun set here. It's identical. It places a debuff on any direct damage after the damage is dealt, but it can only uniquely apply for target. The only difference is the chance to do it is changed, right? Because stun set's a lower chance. And again, Brogni's passive is eliminated so that Brogni can't place any stuns or poisons or toxic on the passive shield, which is obviously a bit of a problem. So why does this matter? Well, in-game, skills are described in a very abstract way. Let's just take a look at Mighty Ukko here. Mighty Ukko basically says, attacks all enemies 2 times. Each hit has a 75% chance of removing 2 random debuffs. Then he places debuffs after the attack. Okay, so he attacks 2 times. Then we can go to someone like, let's go to someone like Ruella. Okay, Ruella does a similar thing. Attacks 1 enemy 3 times. Each hit has a chance of placing debuffs. Okay, cool. So you can see these descriptions are kind of the same. We could have a look at someone like Ninja. Okay, everyone knows Ninja's a really good champion. Attacks 3 times at random here. Each hit has a chance of placing a burn. They're all kind of basically saying they're multi-hit attacks. So if you follow the guide instruction from the website, you would look at someone like Ninja and go, well, he's attacking 3 times, it's a multi-hit ability. I only get 1 roll. Now, you could argue you get 1 roll per target, because it can uniquely apply for target. So that basically means if I attack 3 different targets, then I get 3 different chances to place toxic or stun. Correct. What happens if it's a single target boss encounter? Well, the game guide suggests that attack 3 times at random means you only get 1 roll because you're attacking the same target 3 times. It's the same thing with Mighty Ukko here. If you're attacking a single target, you're only getting 1 roll because you're attacking 2 times, and multi-hit abilities don't work multiple times. The same thing as well with Ruella, as we just looked. You're attacking 1 target 3 times, so you're only getting 1 roll. Well, this is where it's not accurate, because the way that champions are coded varies, and you don't see this in game. It doesn't tell you anywhere in game. It's actually quite difficult, and we might need to find a way to show this to on the website or some way of actually showing the community, because it actually significantly changes the odds. Now, the difference is the champions have a number of effects, and the way that the skill is structured is based on those effects. So with Ruella, she's got 1 effect that deals damage, but that effect attacks 3 times. So 1 effect, 3 attacks. And then she has 3 other effects that apply each individual debuff. Now, those can't actually trigger the artifact set because you can only trigger it on a damage dealing effect, which is the first attack. But the key thing to remember, 1 effect, 3 attacks. The difference with Mighty Ukko is he doesn't have 1 effect, 2 attacks. he has 2 effects, 1 attack. So actually, because the stun sets, the poison sets, the provoke sets work on an effect level, not a skill level, he has 2 chances to provoke, 2 chances to stun, 2 chances to actually place toxic gear. It would be the same thing as well for Ninja. Ninja doesn't attack 1 effect, 3 targets at random. He goes 3 effects. Each effect will target randomly and attack 1 time. So he actually has 3 chances of placing toxic. It's a massive difference. Take someone like Shemnath. I use Shemnath in my clan boss, and it's actually made me realize maybe she should be in toxic, okay? In my clan boss team, I'm currently running Elva as a toxic champion. So she goes on a 3-1 basis. So she has 2 attacks. So this is a 1 attack, 1 time. So she's got 2 times 75% chance to place the toxic set, 80% if I ran sniper. Well, Shemnath, according to the website guide, would have, she's on a 3-1 ratio, she gets 1 extra attack. So compared to Elva, according to the website that Playrim have, she should only be doing 3 chances at 75% to place toxic, because she's going to have 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. Because these are all multi-hit attacks. Here's the thing. This is a single effect attack 2 times. So I have 1 times 75% chance on an A1. This is 3 effects, 1 attack. So I actually have 3 chances of placing a poison from toxic set on this A2. The A3 is 2 effects, 1 attack, because each effect does something different. So I have 2 chances of placing toxic set. How does that actually work out in math? Well, if I've got a champion that has 2 chances to do a 75% poison, that means over the course of a 3-1 turn, so over the course of 1 boss turn, if you're running a 3-1 clan boss, Elva will have 2 times 0.75%. On average, she's going to place 1.5 poisons per clan boss run, per 3-1 rotation. Whereas Shemnath, she's going to have 6 attempts. So per single 3-1, Shemnath is going to place 4.5. So Shemnath is placing 3 more poisons with the same set because of the way that her skills are configured. This is potentially game-changing. Let's have a look at Mighty Ukko for Live Arena, where things are even more important. You might think, well, do I open with A1 or A2? They're both single hits in terms of like the chance to play stun, according to the website, because multi-hits are a single roll. Well, it's not the case. If you attack with say, let's take a stun set, because it seems to be more accessible. A lot of people don't have good provoke. It comes from Ice Golem, stun comes from Fire Knight. And I've put Fearsome Presence, which is how I've built my Mighty Ukko. His A1 has a 23% chance to stun a target. It's a single attack AoE, 23% chance to stun. Each target is independently calculated. So it doesn't matter whether it's AoE, single target, random. Each target is calculated at 18% chance, 23% chance. But this is 2 chances. So effectively, the chance, if I did an A1, then I have 100% minus 23%. So I have a 77% chance that I'm not going to stun on the A1. But because I get 2 rolls on the A2, actually it becomes 0.77 times 0.77. That's how you would work out the odds of me not landing on either. The odds of me not landing a stun on the A2 goes to 59% from 77%. That is a big difference, because that is now, instead of it, that's basically a gain of 18%. The TLDR here is you get a lot more chance. You're getting 20% chance nearly on top of your A1 to stun on the A2. That's probably why some people have experienced the A2s and 3 of my champions are stunned, because actually it's a lot more chance. You're getting 2 rolls. And if it doesn't work the first time, it might work the second time. Let's take it up to another level. Let's look at Provoke. Provoke is a 30% chance with a 5% Fearsome Presence, so 35%. So that means on an A1, you have a 65% chance not to provoke. But on an A2, the chance of you not provoking would actually be 42%. So you're more likely on an A2 to provoke than you're not on an A2, even though the odds are still 35%. You're more likely to place it than not place it because he does it twice. Let me just show you some examples of this working, just to show you in game how this is actually, backing up my theory with actual testing. So we're going to use Foli as a test here. So Foli's got a 4-hit A1, a 4-hit at random A2, and then a attack, then another attack. So basically we've got double hit A2, quadra hit A1, and a 4-hit at random. He's perfect for testing these scenarios. According to the Playtest website, I should only have one roll of toxic on each skill, right? I can place toxic 1 times 75%, 1 times 75%, and 1 times 75%. As you can see here, I've got him in toxic gear. Let's go and test this in a boss, because a boss will give us a single target scenario. We can test it on the wave as well. So I can run this through, like for example here, we can just hit these waves here and you'll see that no matter how many times I try and use his A3, he's never going to actually place more than one toxic on a specific target. No matter what I do, we can keep running it. Obviously it's very difficult when there's multiple targets, but I can keep running it. He's never going to place more than one. Okay. Even if I hit this one here, only one chance. Now, if that was basically every single attack has a chance to apply the toxic, it would be almost guaranteed. So we know it only applies once there, because otherwise that would be almost guaranteed. The chances of me not providing a poison, 0.0, let's see, so that's simple math, is 0.003% chance I don't provide a toxic if it worked on any attack. So that is definitely correct in the sense that certain multi-hit abilities don't do it. But that's because he's got one effect, 4 attacks, not 4 effects, 1 attack. See, here we can basically just do this. No toxic again. Now, obviously, we don't need accuracy, so it doesn't really matter. Attack another target. We got 1 that time, but no, it was never 2, because in this instance, that A1 and A2 is a 1 effect, 4 attacks. So let's just watch what happens on his A3 here. We should get 1 attack, drop turn meter, second attack. So 2 effects, 1 attack. We'll get the first toxic, second toxic. So according to the website guide, that should not be possible. It's a multi-hit ability. But it's because there are 2 separate effects. And this is massively going to be game changing. Now, how do you determine which champions are actually multi-hittable and which ones are not? Well, that's something that only the game code can show you, because it's based on the effect quantities. Now, that's something we might be able to put on the website. If you really want that, and if you think that's really valuable, let me know in the comments below, and we'll definitely have a look at. But certainly, like champions like Ronda, where there's a conditional extra hit, I can guarantee you in 95% of that scenarios, that conditional extra hit will be a separate effect. So for a toxic Ronda on Affinity Clan Boss is below 50% HP, she has 1 effect, 3 attacks, and then a 1 effect, 1 attack. So she has 2 rolls of 75% chance on the A1 to actually land the poison toxics. Shemnath is obviously like 6 different ones. If you see an ability such as the second hit does something, the first hit does something, then that more often than not will probably be separate effects. Shemnath is a great example, right? The first hit does something, the second hit does something else, the third hit does something else. So because those 3 individual hits all do 3 different things, it basically means she has 3 effects times 1 attack, even though she attacks 3 times. So it makes her incredibly powerful for stuff like toxic sets, even stun sets. You're basically saying, if you put her in a stun set, okay, it's a bit of a crazy idea, but if you imagine you put her in a stun set here, she has a single target to apply. If you put Fearsome Presence on her as an example, the odds of her not stunning would be 0.7 times 0.7 times 0.7, because she's got 3 separate chances. So she'd have a 55% chance to land a stun on that A2, just because she has 3 effects. So I hope that has made sense, because I think it's actually very important, specifically when we're looking at Mighty Ukko. I'm going to be doing a Mighty Ukko guide specifically tomorrow, talking about how I've built him for Arena, how I use him in different areas of the game. And that is a key component, because the decision making as to whether you use your A2 versus your A1 can actually significantly change your win conditions. Because if you start stunning people earlier because you actually use your A2 and you've doubled your odds, that's like massive. It's huge. It is a big game changer. So what I would say, I don't know whether this is an intended concept from Playtest. It might be that they bug fix it. It might be that actually it is intended and they need to update the description. But the TLDR here is multi-hit abilities can work multiple times with artifact sets, but only if it's multi-effect skills, not multi-attack skills. And that is not something you can see in the game. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to see more of these deep dives into Raid and breaking down the mechanics of the way the game works, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell notification. All of our future videos will then come straight into your feed. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.